No star-spangled banners flying high, Santa's waiting, but the eagle won't try. Pretoria's got a thorn in its side, diplomatic poker played worldwide. Ace on the table, hearts on the floor. Who's keeping score? Who's keeping score? No USA and RSA. Big summit's gone astray. Trump said his piece, now he's on his way. No USA and No USA and RSA. Blank stares, the angsties got no plan. Sad faces, but the show must stand. From Washington to Johannesburg sand, the game is rigged, the dealer's hand. Ace on the table, hearts on the floor. Who's keeping score? Who's keeping score? No USA and RSA. Big summit's gone astray. Trump said his piece, now he's on his way. No USA and No USA and RSA. Oh, yeah.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Friday, November 14th, 2025, folks. Welcome back. And just for a moment, a word from our sponsor here. Just a moment here. Let me just get this up very quickly. This is a word from our sponsor. Just want to share this with you. This is specifically for the refugees, folks, specifically for the refugees. But this is a word from our sponsor. And I just, it's important for you to hear this message loud and clear. I mean, it's just insane. Well, it's been 3 weeks. Okay, get a grip. I mean, honestly, people have no idea what's involved here. A thorough background investigation must be completed to prove who you are, where you're from, what you're saying is true. That has to take place. There's an administrative process that has to take place. Interviews have to be conducted. Medical screening has to be done. All this stuff takes time. So there, you heard it from our sponsor directly. Welcome back, folks. It's a lecker Freitag. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Ja, herzlich grüßt euch wieder bei uns. Unsere Sendung kommt heute aus Pennsylvania in den Vereinigten Staaten und ich bin der Oberst Chris Wyatt und es freut mich, dass jeder bei uns heute ist am Freitag. Ja, die Wochenende ist fast dabei. Ja, Servus, alle in Österreich und der Schweiz. Grüß Sie. Ja. Yeah. Welcome back, folks. Bonjour tous. Je suis très heureux que vous êtes là avec nous aujourd'hui, le vendredi, le 14 de novembre 2025. Notre transmission origine de Pennsylvanie aux États-Unis. Je suis très heureux que vous êtes là. Welcome back, folks. Folks, how's it going? Otsi Hidijang. Sawabona. There you go. Welcome back. It's Friday and crazy stuff happening in South Africa, folks. First off, I made a video last night, which a few people watched, and I really appreciate the very kind comments. It wasn't meant to belittle anybody or to chastise anybody, but it's just also meant to put things back in perspective. If you're not getting somewhere in the process with the refugee program, this is not a refugee conversation, but I'm just prefacing this now. There is probably something that you did. Maybe you have a conviction in the past. Maybe you've been accused of something. All kinds of things. So many of the people who contact me frantically, they get contacted shortly thereafter. Do not assume that that means I've contacted somebody on your behalf. Okay, let's just be careful there. Munich, I don't know about that. It's kind of a flat. It's like my Midwestern U.S. accent. My German accent is from all over. I've been accused of being from Rhineland-Pfalz in the past. Yep. No news that I mailed today. There you go. See? There you go. Anyway, let's get to the stories and some crazy stuff. I have, by the way, reached out to Dr. Imtaz Suleiman and asked him if I could do a short interview. He said later. I think he's letting events develop and getting more information. But I have not heard back from him. Last night, I reached out to Dr. Suleiman to see if I can... Dumalang. Hey. Okay. Yeah. Keteng. Yes. So I reached out to Dr. Suleiman. I'm hoping to hear back from him. I will record the video because I'm sure a lot of people have nasty things to say, and that's not the intent. The intent is to bring the news analysis as best we can. So that will be a recorded interview, not a live one, unless he asks for a live interview, if he gets back with me. But I have interviewed him in the past, and I've treated him fairly, and I will treat him fairly again. So, all right, folks, let's get to the news. Let's get to the news. Anyway, hang on a second. Sorry. What will you classify most Afrikaners as? What do you mean by that, Don? Janse van Rensburg. What does that mean? Classify Afrikaners as what? I don't understand what that means. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? You know, folks, I'm having buffering problems. It might be because for some reason suddenly my stream is sending at a high bit rate, like 4,800, 4.8 megabytes per second, which is, I don't know why. I've never changed anything in my streaming software. Wolf the Blind Biker's back. Been a while. Haven't seen you there, brother. How's it going? Couldn't see the keyboard? Ooh, no. Anyway, just kidding. Just teasing. Good to see you back, Wolf the Blind Biker. Let's get to it. First off, the rapidly shrinking summit. The G20 is now the G15 or 14.5, as Japan likely will not attend, using a mealy-mouthed excuse. Well, the parliament hasn't approved the prime minister's trip. Really? You've only known about this meeting since last year. You've had the dates for a year, and now you're telling us that parliament has not approved for the ambassador or for the prime minister from Japan to come? No, I think it's just an excuse, not trying to upset the South Africans, but going in line with Trump. Who's next? South Korea, or perhaps Italy? We shall see. Let's get to these news stories, folks. Right out of the gate, Japanese Prime Minister is likely not to attend the summit. It's still uncertain, says their ambassador. Being a very diplomatic person, he knows how to play the game. Japan's Prime Minister Takichi Sane's attendance at the G20 summit is up in the air. Japan aims to strengthen ties with Africa and collaborate to tackle global challenges. 8 days before the G20 summit, and according to Shimizu Fumio, Japan's ambassador to South Africa, she hasn't been approved by Parliament. She hasn't been approved by Parliament. Wow. I mean, they've only had a year to get this approved. And yes, maybe the name changed, but then they go back. She's been prime minister for 3 weeks, not 3 hours, 3 weeks. Yes, the world is taking notice, and they may use the excuse of this, that, or the other, but the truth of the matter is they either agree with Trump or they don't want to piss Trump off. Well, the U.S. absence, according to Peter Fabricius, a journalist whom I know, a very good journalist, but he says U.S. absence at the G20 summit threatens to upend Ramaphosa's agenda. But, Peter, it's more than just Trump who's absent. Look at all those people who are absent. Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, Javier Milei, Claudia Sheinbaum, and now the Japanese prime minister. 6, and then there were 14. It's much more, Peter, much more. Much more. So they won't be able to have a leader's declaration. Riti Talibi, who sits here in luxury and comfort and safety, living in America, ran her mouth complaining, it's unfair. They've been preparing for this a long time. 6 or 8 weeks they've been preparing, and now Trump just doesn't come. Well, Well, Xi Jinping's not coming. Vladimir Putin's not coming. Argentina's not coming. Japan may not be coming. And you're complaining about Trump not coming because it hurts the security arrangements? These are not very good security VIP protectors if they don't know how to handle something like that. Yeah, these people like Rita Tlaib have no concept of how life or diplomacy works. I saw this G20 boycott on the Daily Maverick, the Daily Shitbird. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Why do you have someone that knows nothing about diplomacy, knows nothing about how the world works, being your mouthpiece? She has no idea what she's talking about and just moaning. Oh, Trump isn't coming. That's not fair. They did all the preparation for it. All the preparation for it. All the preparation. Another word from our sponsor, folks. Yeah, this is in line with what she says.
Well, it's been 3 weeks.
Okay, yeah.
Get a grip. I mean, honestly, people have no idea what's involved here.
Yeah, bringing Trump
A thorough
over.
background investigation must be completed.
Yeah.
You have to prove who you are, where
Exactly.
you're from, what you're saying is true. That
Tell
has
him,
to
Reedy.
take place. There's an administrative process that has to take place. Interviews have to be conducted. Medical screening has to be done. All this stuff takes time.
Yeah, it's right. You know, it's time. It takes time and energy. Poor South Africa went to all this effort. Went to all this effort to prepare for Trump. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Save yourself the energy. South Africa has allowed 153. The number keeps changing. It was 160, then it was 170, now it's 153. How many Palestinians are on that plane? Are they multiplying like rabbits on the plane? I'm so confused. Apparently the plane left with 100 in its first destination and first origin. Then it added 60 more. How did some of them stay in the cargo hold? What's the real story here? This story is a story that will not quit. The story that will not quit. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an interesting story to say the least. The South African government is taking an interesting approach to this, one that many South Africans are probably heartened by, but non-government organizations have intervened. Yes, South Africa lets 153 Palestinians disembark following a 12-hour plane ordeal. An ordeal. Yes, being stuck at OR Tambo can be an ordeal. A chartered plane carrying a group of Palestinian passengers was second to land in South Africa in recent weeks. South Africa's allowed more than 150 Palestinian airline passengers to disembark after they were kept on the plane for almost 12 hours. South Africa's Ministry of Home Affairs authorized the passengers to get off the plane Thursday night after a local organization guaranteed to provide the passengers with accommodation during their stay in South Africa. Given the Palestinians are eligible for 90-day visa-exempt travel to South Africa, they have been processed as per normal and be required to adhere to all conditions of entry. Except that that's not true. That's not true. They do not have any departure information for where they left from. So who's telling the truth here? That's the Border Management Authority. Interesting. According to them, the Palestinians were not allowed to disembark after discovered they did not have the customary departure stamps. So why are they allowed a 90-day visa entry if they don't have a departure stamp? Somebody's talking out one side of their mouth and saying something out the other side. Yep, following their failure to pass the immigration test and given none of the travelers expressed an intention to apply for asylum, they're initially denied entry. Well, there you go. So why were they there? Why were they there if they didn't ask for asylum? Did they even know? Were they human trafficked? Were the Palestinians thinking they were going to Jordan and they were flown to South Africa? What happened? Maybe they thought they were going to Antarctica. What's going on here? Inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. This is crazy, folks. Cray, cray. Cray, cray. 130 of them entered the country, but 23, that's why the number's off, went on to other destinations from the airport. Wow. They're saying it's operated by South African airline Global Airways. Is Global Airways a South African airline? I guess that's not global. That's not the global I flew on then. Founder, Gift the Givers, Imtiaz Suleiman told public broadcaster SABC that he did not know who had chartered the aircraft. And the first plane carrying out 76 to land in Joburg on October 20th. Some of the passengers departed for other countries. The families of the first group told us their family members are coming in a second plane. Nobody knew about that plane. These people are really distraught coming from 2 years of genocide. I'm sorry, Dr. Suleiman, it's not genocide. If it was genocide, they wouldn't be coming. If it were genocide, there wouldn't be a plane of Palestinians landing in South Africa. There wouldn't be 2 million Palestinians living in Samaria and Judea. There wouldn't be 2 million people living in Gaza. It's not a genocide. Stop with the hyperbole. Wow. Nigel Branken, a South African social worker who assisted those on the plane. What is Nigel Branken doing on the plane, and what did he know about this ahead of time? Perhaps South African Police Crime Intelligence should be talking to Nigel Branken at this hour. Nigel Branken, yes. So Dr. Suleiman did talk to SABC.
I've been very traumatized, but there's a back-end story to this. This is not the first plane. This is the second plane. On the 28th of October, a plane arrived in Tambo Airport, and these people were displaced. They didn't know where to go. They had no contact numbers, no phone numbers. And a person called Nigel Bentley from the church found them. And
What? Well, Nigel Branken found them the first time. Then he went and found more people. So did Nigel Branken arrange this? Is he committing crimes? Where is crime intelligence? Why is he being investigated? Is he being? I didn't see what flags they carry at the airport. Is he being investigated for violating South Africa's immigration law? Interesting. Misleading unregistered group. According to News 24, that's who's behind this. A misleading unregistered group is behind this effort. I don't see any flags there, folks. I just see a bunch of healthy, adult, military-age people standing around. Embassy of the State of Palestine, there's no such place, said an unregistered organization exploited Gaza's humanitarian crisis by collecting money and arranging irregular travel for 153 Palestinians to South Africa without proper coordination. Global Airways operated the charter flight on which a group of Palestinians arrived, said another group had landed on October 28th. In a statement issued on Thursday night, the embassy said the group, which traveled from Gaza via Ramon Airport through Nairobi, that's why they said it was Kenya Airways, arrived in South Africa without prior notice. The travel of these 153 Palestinians was arranged by an unregistered and misleading organization that exploited the tragic humanitarian conditions of our people in Gaza, deceived families, collected money from them, and facilitated travel in an irregular and irresponsible manner. This entity later attempted to disown any responsibility once complications arose. Well, it is time to arrest this entity. It is time to arrest this entity. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber said the travelers are not asylum seekers. On arrival, border control officials noticed the absence of departure stamps in some of their passports, as well as the fact that a number of travelers did not appear to have return tickets or addresses for their accommodation. Due to the discrepancy, the Border Management Agency could not allow them to enter right away, as further investigations and verifications had to be done. The government of South Africa subsequently interacted with the Palestinian embassy and other role players. It was established that the absence of stamps, return tickets, and accommodation addresses did not indicate that the travelers had wished to apply for asylum. Now, of course, we heard Nigel Branken lie to the world, falsely claiming that Israel denied them stamps. They didn't leave from Israel. According to this information, they left from Gaza. Gaza, not Israel. But we were lied. You see, the hatred of Jews is so pervasive that people just make crap up. I said it seems implausible that Israel would not let Palestinians leave Israel if they wanted to. And of course, that man lied. It's unfair. All the fake media yesterday. Now the truth comes out. Wow. None of the 153 who arrived have applied for asylum, and none of them are refugees. Well, he lied then, or he spoke hyperbole. I haven't seen the whole video. None of the 153 Palestinian travelers applied for asylum. Not one. So why are they there? What are they doing there? Where are these flags? I don't see any flags. Guys, tell my flags. None of them. Once satisfied that the absence of certain elements from their itinerary would not leave them destitute in South Africa in the absence of any asylum claims, the travelers were granted entry to South Africa on a standard 90-day visa. You want to bet how many of them actually leave after 9 days? By the time entry was approved, 23 of the group had already departed for other destinations. The travel of these 150 Palestinians was arranged by an unregistered and misleading organization that exploited the tragic humanitarian conditions. Name the organization. Why aren't you naming the organization? Why are you protecting the guilty? Why is the media protecting the guilty? Why is the government protecting the guilty? Why is the government protecting someone that's trafficking human beings into South Africa? Government will probe how the Palestinians arrived in the airport. Well, I can tell you how. On a plane. And look at that. Look at those big seats, man. Look at those comfortable seats. Those are big, cushy seats. The government included its security cluster will investigate the circumstances in which a plane load of Palestinian travelers arrived at Tambo, according to Leon Schreiber. The department will continue to work with Palestinian Embassy and the rest of the South African security cluster probe claims. Even as we do, we remain steadfast committed to safeguarding the dignity of vulnerable people at all times. Gift of the Givers founder Imitas Suleiman told SBC News this was the second flight. Suggests it was arranged by a front organization for the Israeli government. He said the travelers were loaded into the plane without knowing where they were going. What information does Suleiman have to indicate that the Israeli government is behind this? What is going on? What is over here? What video are we talking about? Yeah, Israel doesn't issue departure stamps. I know, and the U.S. doesn't. You just scan your passport. So that whole thing sounds mealy mouth. Whole thing sounds mealy mouth. Okay, Alana sent me the alleged organization. And your messages are all deleted. Did I get the wrong Alana? No, Alana, you didn't send me anything. You deleted every message. The last message I have you is from the 6th of, I'm looking at WhatsApp, 6th of November is the last thing I have from you, Alana, so you didn't send it to me, unless you sent it in an email. Did you send an email? Nothing from you since October 28th in emails. I don't know who you sent it to, but you didn't send it to me. You didn't send it to me. Hey, Debbie. It's a charter plane, and the security is less. Gift to the givers, Imitas Suleiman, urges Ramaphosa to probe treatment of Palestinians in Tambo. Well, the treatment was not unfair. That's not unfair. The treatment was correct. The other option is they deplane and they go into detention cells. Is that what Mr. Suleiman prefers? Dr. Suleiman, you prefer they put in detention cells? Gift the Givers Foundation has asked President Ramaphosa to urgently investigate the Home Affairs Department and Border Management over the treatment of group Palestinians. They were treated humanely. He said hair was soaked with sweat and the child suffering from seizures was denied food for more than 2 hours after authorities used every excuse in the book to prevent these passengers from disembarking. Yes, the lowest civil servants did their duty. They had to follow the law, which says that if there's no X stamp, they cannot disembark. But, of course, the higher authorities, the politicians, know this is a case of genocide. It's not genocide. Genocide. If it were genocide, Dr. Suleiman, they wouldn't be there. They wouldn't be there. And it doesn't excuse an illegal entry into the country. I'm sorry, that's simply not the case. Not allowed. Not allowed. Palestinians, now Ramaphosa is getting into the mix, appear to have been flushed out. Flushed out. What are they? Toilet bowls? What are you talking about here, President Ramaphosa? Flushed out. Yesterday we had a plane carrying Palestinians landing over Tambo, and these people are from Gaza who somehow mysteriously were put on a plane that passed by Nairobi and came here. I got to hear about it from my Minister of Home Affairs, wanting to know what we do now, and I said we cannot turn them back, even though they do not have the necessary documents, papers. These are people from a strife-torn, war-torn country. Now, that's probably the most accurate description, Ramaphosa, a strife-torn, war-torn country where a war was launched by the Palestinians against Israeli civilians. Yeah, he's probably right about that. And out of compassion, out of empathy, we must receive them, be able to deal with the situation that they are facing. And it does not seem like they were being flushed out. Flushed out? I don't understand that. Anyway. Charles is getting his treatment today, is he not? Solidarity has taken Panyazi Lasufi and the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department to court over their criminal acts. City bylaws do not give officials power to remove the advertisements. Solidarity has escalated its fight to court over a race banner allegedly illegally removed by the Johannesburg Metro Police Department. The controversial banner, which is not controversial unless you're a racist, which was the M1 between Smith Street and Empire Road, said, "Welcome to the most race-regulated country in the world." It's just a public service announcement. For one person who wants to advertise whatever sign is, they need to apply through the city, and they have to be regulated and check if it's okay. And the process has been followed, then a payment needs to be done. So that was all done. Zolani Fila said the banner was removed due to non-compliance with the city's bylaws, but that's a lie. They're claiming it wasn't applied for through the city's jailbreak, but that's not true. Yeah. Now, they don't bother to tell you that Solidarity refutes that. That's not mentioned here. That's not mentioned. That's not real news. They should have asked Solidarity, is it in fact true? They simply take the word of corrupt officials in Johannesburg that the rules weren't followed, when the rules in fact were followed, according to Solidarity. Dion George apparently was fired because he was pushing his own personal views in violation of government policy. He defied South Africa's stance on reopening and selling ivory and rhino horn trade, triggering political fallout. His removal ultimately stemmed from the DA leadership's dissatisfaction with the wildlife trade issue, accelerating his exit. Well, of course, because the game hunters want to be able to kill rhino and elephant and sell the horns. So Mr. George must go. But quite frankly, if Mr. George can't follow the policy of his government, then he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be there. So, the sacking is probably appropriate. That's how it works, folks. You have to follow the rules. You have to support the government. Panyaza Lessufi has survived the DA's big motion of no confidence. Nothing burger. He was never going to be voted out because the politicians that sit in Johannesburg City Council, many of them are simply reprobates. And they like, not the provincial council, I said city, in the Gauteng provincial council are just reprobates. The politicians who sit in the provincial council, provincial legislature, are not going to vote him out. That's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lessufi has survived a motion no confidence after the majority of parties in the Gauteng legislature voted against the motion. Motion was brought forward by the DA based on his unlawful establishment of the Gauteng crime wardens, also known as Ama Panyaza. The Tembisa corruption scandal, general corruption, 177 forensic reports, lifestyle audits, MPOs, and cancer patients in Gauteng. The ANC, MK, Action SA, EFF, PA, Rise Mzansi, IFP, ACDP, and BOSA all surprisingly rejected the notion. That is surprising. The Action SA, they support criminality. The EFF, no surprise. The PA supports criminality. Rise Mzansi supports criminality. IFP, the ACDP supports criminality. And BOSA, none of those parties should be in power. They support criminality. How many more things does this man have to do in violation of law before somebody says, hey, he's supposed to be gone? Wow. But why did they then second him for the position in May? Who seconded Ronaldo? Well, that's, dude, that's your party, not mine. You tell me why the DA did that. Yes, only the Freedom Front Plus supported the rule of law. All these parties support criminality. 80 members of the provincial legislature voted. 24 voted yes, 54 voted no. There you go. There you go. So that's not a surprise. What is a surprise? The ACDP, the IFP, and the PA voted for criminality. I'm not surprised by Action SA. Action SA will do anything just like that's anti-DA. They'll do it. Yep. Well, he was never going to go anywhere. So criminals remain in charge. Speaking of criminals, Julius Malema, a convicted criminal, remains on the Judicial Services Commission overseeing the Mhlanga Commission. Interesting, is it not? Interesting in South Africa where criminals, convicted criminals, sit in government and preside over judicial matters. Matatla's Blue Lights Brigadier ordered me to dump the suspect's body, says Witness D. My goodness. This is getting crazy. Wow. Witness D said, I fear this group and others like it who are responsible for a host of similar offenses and even hijackings and armed robberies using state vehicles and resources. I fear that left unchecked, it's going to create a massive, massive problem for the rest of society in terms of trust in police and private security. I'm sorry, Witness D. We've already reached that threshold a couple of years ago. A Bryanston father shot dead in front of his family. Known in the community as the owner of a popular gym was killed in front of his wife and two small children on November 12th. According to E-Block Watch reporting the scene on the day of the incident, there are different versions doing the rounds. Some say it was a straight home invasion. Others say it was a follow me home that turned into a home invasion. E-Block Watch founder Andre Sneeman said, right now our teams are on the ground trying to separate rumor from fact. South Africa, man. Life is cheap. Israeli settlers are accused of burning a mosque in Judean Samaria. The UN agency recorded more than 1,400 settler attacks this year that have resulted in casualties or property damage. There is never a justification for attacking a house of worship, ever, unless it's being used to commit acts of war. If it's being used to shelter combatants, then it is a legitimate target and no longer a house of worship. Aside from that, no one has the right to attack a house of worship, whether it's a synagogue, a mosque, or a church. Palestinian Religious Affairs Ministry shared photographs of the aftermath of the mosque attack on social media showing damage to a prayer hall where windows appeared to be blown out and ash was strewn on part of the floor. This should not be happening. Major General Avi Bluth, who leads the Israeli military command that oversees the Judea and Samaria, said the attacks by what he called anarchist fringe youth were unacceptable and extremely serious. He said the directive to his troops is clear: not stand by idly and do everything in your power to prevent any act of nationalist crime. Graffiti sprayed outside the mosque on Thursday said, "We are not afraid of Avi Bluth." Well, there you go. So obviously it's not the Israeli government behind it, but radicals in Judea and Samaria that need to be brought under control. Such activity is never appropriate and should not be condoned. Aid, apparently, is still woefully short. So where's the United Nations? Where is South Africa sending grain and food and supplies? Where is the ANC? I mean, they're in concert and they have empathy for the Palestinian people, and they should. But where are the plane loads of South African supplies landing in Gaza? There's peace there. The only war going on now is the Hamas executing innocent civilians in the streets in public executions. But why are we not seeing enough supplies there? I mean, the ANC has enough money to spend 80 million rand prosecuting a ludicrous genocide case against Israel. What about spending that 80 million rand to bring relief supplies to the hungry, starving Palestinians? Yes, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, has accused Israel of deliberately crippling its operations and blocking entry of vital aid. Well, show us the proof. Where's the video? Don't make empty claims. Where are the South Africans sending money there? Well, the United States has agreed to a $330 million sale of fighter jets to Taiwan, whoa, drawing a rebuke from China. Pentagon said the proposed sale would improve Taiwan's capability to meet current and future threats. Interesting. Beijing claims Taiwan is its own territory. It's not. It's the other way around. Beijing's foreign ministry spokesman Lin Jiang told reporters the Chinese regime's claim over Taiwan is at the core of China's interest and is a red line that must not be crossed in China-U.S. relations. He says the arms deal undermines Beijing's sovereignty and security interests. Too bad. Too bad, buddy. Too bad. Yeah. China registers its worst investment decline in years as the economic slowdown continues to cripple China's economy. Consumption has slowed. Retail sales on the longest run of decelerating growth since 2021 during the COVID scam. Yep. Wow. Fixed asset investment minus 1.7%. Property investment minus 14.7%. Average home prices in 70 cities dropped by 2.6%. Wow. Well, folks, things are not looking so good in China. Indonesia is preparing a stabilization force to go to Gaza. The Indonesian Defense Ministry says troops are likely to focus on health and reconstruction if they're sent to the enclave. 20,000 soldiers in preparation. That's going to be expensive. And guess who's going to pay for it? The United States. Because we're the ones that fund UN peacekeeping. Yep. Under the President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, the stabilization force would be sent there to ensure a long-term truce. So 20,000 Indonesian troops could wind up in Gaza. Poor bastards. Well, the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung berichtet, dass Trump senkt Zölle für Schweiz von 39 auf 15%. Ja, höher in der US-Zölle, damit auf selben Niveau wie für die EU. Plus Trumps Justizministerium geht gegen Wahlkreissicherung in Kalifornien vor. Deutsche Gruppe Antifa Ost soll in den USA als Terroristenorganisation eingestuft werden. Yes, well, we know that Antifa is a terrorist organization. But the point here is that the real story is not that. It's that Trump has worked out a deal with Switzerland. Switzerland's tariffs dropped from 39 to 15%. Let's see. South Africa's government said they're actively working with America. We're close to a deal. They told us that a month ago. We're close to a deal. We're so close. Wow. Parks, Tao, Johnny Steenhuisen, and Ronnie Lamola are in Vietnam doing the Lamola, proving that black man can't dance either. Do the Lamola. Yes, busy in Vietnam. Selling stone fruit, yes, and dancing with their friends and yucking it up. Instead of being in Washington, D.C., no trade negotiator, no ambassador. But we're negotiating. We're very close to a deal. Switzerland, tiny little Switzerland, tiny little Switzerland now has a deal. 39% to just 15%. Looky there. Looky there, folks. Looky there. Wow. So much for the comments coming out of Pretoria. Well, this is what happens when the Chinese have you by the testicles. Turkey is now discriminating against Uyghur refugees and asylum seekers because the Chinese communists told them to do it. Just like the Chinese colony located at the tip of Africa, the southern tip, also known as South Africa, Turkey now is turning on people. Uyghurs are no longer welcome in Turkey. As Turkey strengthens ties with China, the Turkish government has shifted its migration policy towards members of the Muslim minority from Xinjiang, a community of historically protected. Expulsions of Uyghurs are on the rise, as revealed by Human Rights Watch investigation. So, rumors have been circulating for several months. Gradually, some news outlets report on arrests and expulsions of Uyghur refugees by Ankara authorities. One such case was Hokmaniyazov Kurbakan, who possessed a permanent residency permit in Turkey, but was arrested by police upon his return from a pilgrimage to Mecca shortly before the summer of 2024 and sent to a deportation center. There are also other cases. Istanbul administrative courts ordered direct deportation to China mid-March, breaking with previous practice expulsion via third countries. For years, the Islamist nationalist government of President Erdogan, for life, presented itself as a protector of the Chinese ethnic minority, which is considered a brotherly people within the broader Muslim and Turkic family. In 2009, after bloody crackdowns and riots, Turkish head of state did not hesitate to condemn a kind of genocide. But now, the Turks have kowtowed and bowed before their Chinese overlords, and now they're deporting Uyghurs, refugees who deserve protection, Muslims, to be organ harvested and imprisoned, raped, murdered in the Chinese mainland. Well, the BBC apologizes. Yes, indeed, folks. BBC entschuldigt sich bei Trump. Doch reicht das? No, it doesn't reicht. Die BBC hat sich bei Donald Trump für den Zusammenschnitt seiner Rede vom 6. Januar 2021 in dem Magazin Panorama entschuldigt. Eine Entschädigung will sie ihm jedoch nicht zahlen. Wow. So, the BBC has apologized to Trump, but they refuse to pay him for the harm they've done to him. Yep. Canadian intelligence says they foiled Iranian and Russian plots. Oh, stop that. It does it all the time. Canada's spy agency this year stopped a plot by Iranian intelligence services to target dissidents living in Canada. CSIS Director Dan Rogers, in a rare public appearance, told Canadians that his agency intervened to protect the lives of critics of the Islamic Republic living in Canada after learning of a plan that threatened their lives. Canada does not have formal relations with the Islamic Republic after severing them in 2012. 2012? We severed them in 1979. It took the Canadians that long to sever ties with the Islamic Republic? Shows you where their head is at, up their rectum. Canada is reaching into its economic past and pissing off Indigenous peoples and environmentalists as it goes to mining and natural resource projects. Prime Minister Mark Carney yesterday announced 6 major infrastructure projects as part of his ambitious plan to reduce Canada's economic reliance on the United States after President Trump set off a trade war with his neighbor. Trump last month abruptly suspended trade negotiations with Canada, which sends an overwhelming majority of its exports to the U.S. But now, trying to become independent, they are going to exploit nature, and Indigenous First Nations are pissed off, as are environmental wackos. Once again, folks, the U.S. has worked out a deal with Switzerland, lowering the trade tariffs to just 15%. Swiss government said the tariff will drop 15% under the agreement and thanked Trump for constructive engagement. There we go. But tariffs don't work. I'm sorry, South African commentators claim that it's chaotic and Trump's asinine and arrogant and his policy makes no sense. Really? Really? Well, it seems to work very well. Ladies and gentlemen, full food stamp benefits restored by Monday. Yay for the people living on public assistance, 42 million Americans. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said that full supplemental nutritional assistance programs benefits will be restored by Monday, November 17th. This came the day after November 12th passage of a funding legislation to reopen the federal government. Rollins made her remarks during a November 13th interview with CNN's Pamela Brown, saying that the end of the government shutdown prompted quick action by her agency. Yay, food stamps are back. No. How about people get off food stamps? And why are we giving food stamps to people who are 400% above the poverty line? That makes no sense. The Supreme Court will weigh banning trans athletes from girls' sports in January. The Supreme Court announced this week it will hear one of the biggest cases of the term in January, weighing whether transgender athletes can be banned from girls' sports. Justice said Wednesday they'll hear 2 cases that deal with state laws out of Idaho and West Virginia that ban transgender athletes from girls' sports, requiring athletes to compete in sports based on their biological gender. Well, of course they should. Why would it be anything else? The first case is Little versus Hecox, involving Lindsay Hecox, who was a transgender athlete who sought to try out for track and cross-country teams at Boise State University. Ms. Hecox now says she does not plan to play and had moved to dismiss her legal battle before the justice weighed in. But the court rejected the request. About 24 states have legislation aimed at protecting women's sports. BPJ is Becky Pepper Jackson, a transgender girl who wants to compete in cross-country and track and field in West Virginia. In 2024, Becky placed the top 3 in every track event she took part in. Of course. Boys always beat girls. They're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger. Anyway, these will be argued on January 13th in what could be a landmark decision. Boeing is ordered to pay $28 million for its 737 MAX crash in Ethiopia, that horrific situation. The families must get this. A federal court in Chicago awarded more than $28 million to relatives of UN environmental specialists who died in 2019. The verdict in favor of the family of King Garg was the first civil trial stemming from the 2019 disaster that killed all 157 people on board Ethiopian Flight 302. With 26% added interest added to the full verdict amount, the family will receive $35.8 million. While we resolve the vast majority of these claims through settlements, families are also entitled to pursue their claims through damage trials in court, and we respect their right to do so, said a Boeing spokesman. Grong was 32 when the Ethiopian flight took off from Addis and crashed shortly after takeoff. Lawsuit alleged that the 737 was defective and that Boeing failed to warn passengers and the public about its dangers. The Ethiopian crash happened 5 months after Lion Air Flight 610 crashed in the Java Sea in Indonesia. Boeing has now settled more than 90% of civil lawsuits associated with the crashes, paying billions, including a deferred prosecution and other payments. That's the wreckage. What a horrible crash that was. I remember that vividly. Unfortunately, I used to fly Ethiopian Airlines. Boeing and union workers agree to a new contract, ending a 3-month strike. All employees in the St. Louis region sites are, of course, St. Louis is where McDonnell Douglas is headquartered, and that's what they bought. They merged with McDonnell Douglas many years ago. District 837, the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, represents 3,200 machinists at facilities in St. Louis and St. Charles, Missouri. Its members build and maintain the F-15, F-18 advanced missile and defense systems. So, they've reached an agreement. The strike will end. Did you know there's a strike? Trump, thank goodness, has lifted the ban on drilling and mining in the Alaskan wilderness. The decision will allow oil and gas drilling in Alaska's ecologically sensitive North Slope, has the support of the state's governor and senators. Remember how the environmentalists and the leftists lied to us. We can't drill in Alaska. It will kill the caribou. Ladies and gentlemen, the caribou herds are larger than they've ever been. Larger than they've ever been. It will do massive environmental damage. It did not. The only tragic outcome was the Exxon Valdez, which is the responsibility of a drunken ship's captain. Exxon was negligent in hiring a drunkard to be the captain of that ship. But besides that, no. The caribou are doing fine. The environment is fine. The oil has come out, and it has been a boon for Alaskans and for Americans for 50 years. Now they are lifting the ban that the Biden regime placed on further exploration there. The move reverses actions taken during the crooked Biden regime to restrict development in half the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska, 23 million acres of federal land on the North Slope. It's called the National Petroleum Reserve. Can't you see the idiocy of this? The government set aside a parcel of land for future exploration for strategic interests in the United States called the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska. And these wackadoodles said, no, you can't look for petroleum there. Why do we call it the National Nobody Uses It Reserve? Okay? It was for oil. Idiots. 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 So latest in a series of Trump administration's efforts to expand fossil fuel production in the United States. Last month, the government finalized plans to open the coastal plain of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge in Alaska to oil and gas drilling. In the coming days, the Interior Department is expected to propose opening vast stretches of federal waters to oil and gas development. The only thing I ask is that we start charging these companies market rates for their access and not simply give them rights for $15 an acre. The judge orders Department of Homeland Security to release hundreds of felons, criminal alien invaders, detainees in Chicago. Judge said 615 criminals who violated their sovereignty were not subject to mandatory detention and did not have final remove orders. Well, they've committed a crime. Why can't they be held in jail? If I commit a crime, I get held in jail. Federal judge ruled that hundreds of illegal aliens held by ICE may be released on bond and ordered by the Department of Homeland Security to assess whether they pose any safety risk to the public. Well, of course they pose a safety risk. They violate our sovereignty and invade our country. Among them, 615 individuals were not subject to mandatory detention. That's 3,000 illegals arrested in June and October, but 615 did not have final remove orders. The judge rejected the argument. They'd argued that all of those detained fell under mandatory detention. Yep. They want to give them $1,500 bail. $1,500 bail for criminals. Criminals, $1,500 bail. I'm sorry, this is unacceptable. This judge is out of control. Unacceptable. These criminals should not be walking around on our streets. Well, Alaska has a new gold mining rush, but it's not gold. It's antimony. Yes, the United States stopped mining antimony a long time ago, relying on imports from abroad, but the Chinese are playing hardball. So, Alaska's new mining rush chases something more coveted than gold. Miners are racing to extract antimony, an obscure element used in defense companies, which is used for hardening of bullets and other things. At a mining site, Rod Blegstead cracked open a shiny rock with his pick. He found quartz, a sign that the rock may contain gold. But Blegstead, a veteran gold hunter, tossed the rock aside. He and his team of geologists were searching for something even more sought after, antimony, an obscure element widely used in the defense industry that is now at the center of the bitter U.S.-China trade fight. If we're looking for gold, we'd be high-fiving. Until recently, antimony, which is often found in gold mines, was treated as detritus by gold miners. But that began changing last year when China put heavy restrictions on antimony exports, including banning all shipments to the U.S. in December. Now, that is an act of war. That is an act of war. Japan justified its attack on Pearl Harbor because we shut off petroleum exports to Japan. They considered it an act of war. This is an act of war by China, cutting off antimony shipments. Wow. That was squeezing defense companies to use antimony to harden bullets and strengthen armor-penetrating projectiles. Antimony prices have quadrupled from 2 years ago, and supplies are now scarce, just as defense companies need to replenish stockpiles of armaments exhausted by the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. 60% of the world's antimony is mined in China, with the rest coming from Russia, Tajikistan, and Myanmar. Under the truce, White House said antimony shipments would resume. But look at that. Price has gone from about $7,000 a metric ton to $60,000 in 5 years. And here are the production. That's the three major producers, China, Tajikistan, and Russia. U.S., 0 metric tons. But we used to be a producer of antimony. We stopped doing it in Idaho and Alaska in the 20th century. Wow. U.S. needs to get hold of the ore. Earlier this year, Chinese authorities intercepted one of the company's antimony shipments while it was transiting through a Chinese port on the way to Australia, holding it for months before releasing it. The Chinese are committing acts of aggression, acts of war. So here are mines and prospects in Alaska for antimony. Down in Montana, U.S. Antimony is expanding its smelter and restarting mining operations that it shut down in the 1980s because it couldn't compete with rock-bottom Chinese prices. So now we're going, there it is right there. You can see it in the rock, antimony. So, another foolish mistake by American industry. Walmart's CEO Doug McMillon will step down after a decade in the role. John Furner will become the retail giant's 5th chief executive officer since Sam Walton left the company. On Friday, Chief Executive Officer Doug McMillon will step down after over a decade in the role. Change the top of the country's largest retailer and private employer as it reinvigorates a complex consumer and government landscape. Walmart shares were trading down in early trading this morning at minus 1.7%. Apparently people not happy that he's leaving. Well, a lot of Americans, well, MAGA, Make America Great First, America Firsters, are concerned about President Trump and some of his recent statements. Trump has been dining with billionaires and has taken a keen interest in crises overseas, leading to fears that he's drifting away from his more populist stances. He's also saying we need immigrants, which is not going down well with a lot of MAGA crowd. He approved a $20 billion bailout for Argentina. These things are not making people happy. Anyway, that's the situation with the president, Donald Trump. And to the 496 people still here as I wrap up my news portion of today's transmission, thank you for being here. Please hit the like button if you haven't done it already. It's not hard to do. You just push that button.
That was easy.
Otherwise, we introduce you to our friend Bob. Say hello to Bob, the bugger off bunny. All right, folks, big weekend tomorrow on Rugby Ascendant. We've got Springboks in Italy, first game, and they've got an unusual lineup. And then we've got England hosting the All Blacks. And finally, Ireland hosting the Wallabies, who are reeling after their loss to Italy last week. Let's take a look at the Springbok lineup for tomorrow. At fullback, Damien Willemse is there again. On the right wing, it's Edwin van der Merwe. In the center, Kanan Moody and Ethan Hooker. Interesting, Ethan Hooker moves from the wing into inside center, along with Kanan Moody. We'll see how that goes. I don't think I've ever seen Hooker play that position. On the left wing, it's Kurtley RSA. And then Andre Pollard is back at fullback, at fly half, Morne van der Beek gets the nod at scrum half. Marco van Staden wearing the number 8 jersey. Okay, using usually a 6. Ben Jason Dixon is back. Sia Khaleesi is the captain. Franco Mostart and Jean Klein are the locks. The front row is a bunch of new guys. Zachary Porthen, Johan Gerbela, and Boen Vente. That is an interesting lineup to say the least. Let's see. Willemse and Sia Khaleesi are the only regular starting Springboks in that lineup. Off the bench, Gerhard Steenkamp, Wilco Low, Arge Sneeman, Rowan Nortkia, Andre Esthuizen, Quagga Smith, Grant Williams, and Monty Lubbock. Well, the bench is prepared with seasoned veterans in case something goes awry. This will take place in Turin at the Allianz Stadium. James Dolman from New Zealand will be the referee. On the sidelines, Ben O'Keefe and Jeremy Rozier. The TMO is Tual Tranini from France. Don't know who that is. So that'll be interesting. And then we've got the All Blacks, and then we've also got Ireland. I'll be covering all 3 of those games. All right. You're welcome, Angelique. Thank you. Hooker's actually a center. Sharks moved him to wing. Really? I didn't know he was a center. That's news to me, Ronald. I'd never do that. I've only ever seen him play on the wing. Never seen him play a center. Yeah, no, I'm not too excited about Monty, yeah. Did you see that there is some parliamentarians in calling for the death penalty? For what? Death penalty for what? We have the death penalty, but we never do use it. How do the Chinese keep their manufacturing costs lower than the rest of the world? Because they exploit things. They don't use environmental protections. They use slave wages, and oftentimes they'll use slave labor. Lots of ways they do it. They also produce so much, and then they flood the market, driving down the price. And driving the price bankrupts other companies who can't compete. They have the state subsidizes. So that's a big way that this happens. Big players can flood a marketplace and sell things at a loss for a period of time while the government subsidizes them. This is why China's not a fair economic player. Virtually their entire industry can be subsidized any moment and will be subsidized in an effort to drive people out of business. That's what they do. That's how it works. Then the prices go up. Bucks by 5. I think they went by more than 5. They're illegals and released. They should be deported back to their countries. Agreed. Alaska, Canada got plenty of resources. Yep. Well, a lot of chat here. I don't know what it's about. So, limited food. Oh, there he is. No fiber. So, Charles, are you back from your treatment? They look for polyps and for cancer and things like that when they do the colonoscopy. Shutdown did reveal how much fraud and abuse in the SNAP program. Blue states sued to not show their records because illegals and scammers are abusing the system. There you go. You're surprised I know what that is. Really? Approximately 15% of Americans on food stamps, more or less. Yes, that's correct. But again, the problem is that you can qualify for food stamps if you make 400% above the poverty line. People above the poverty line shouldn't be getting food stamps. The poverty line is established to say this is where people are suffering. They can't survive. Anything below this amount, you can't survive. So above that amount, you can survive. You just have to make smarter choices with your income. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Good evening, Loretta. Gamola organized with the Department of Home Affairs to waive requirements. Well, that's what's being reported. We don't know if that's true. Here you go. Now she sent it to me. Okay. Thank you, Alana. Fake humanitarian group moving Palestinians out of Gaza. Al-Majid Europe. Really? Founded in Germany? Thank you for that. I'm not making any claims. I'm just reporting what we're finding here. So, Al-Majid Europe. A shocking revelation emerged today during an interview on C Radio with investigative journalist and founder of Social Intifada, Khalid Varda, who exposed what he described as a dangerous, deceptive operation targeting vulnerable Palestinians fleeing Gaza. Al-Majid advertises resettlement programs for Palestinians in countries including Indonesia, Malaysia, and South Africa. Families are charged $1,000 to $5,000 to escape. They want Gazans out of Gaza. They want to appear as though it's not ethnic cleansing, it's a voluntary migration. Timing aligned with Israeli officials publicly signaling plans to clear Palestinians from Gaza and reframe displacement. When did they claim they were taking the Gazans out? I've never heard that. This sounds suspicious. Huh. Yeah, that sounds suspicious. Blaming that on Israel. Biz News. On a warm Thursday morning in Johannesburg, while commuters were inching along the N12, the global aviation aircraft rolled to a stop. Okay, boy, Tim Flack's really making this all dramatic. None of those pushing. Okay. Before the verification had begun, a completely different story. Wait, let me finish. Okay. The door stayed shut. Instead of disembarking, just over 100 Gazans remained seated as South African immigration officials boarded a plane to verify each person inside. It was an unusual scene. A sealed aircraft, a full passenger list held in place, and officials trying to understand who these individuals were and how they had arrived. Before the verification had even begun, a completely different story erupted online. South African social media commentators loudly declared that these passengers were refugees abandoned by Israel because their passports had not been stamped. I didn't claim that. No, I refuted that. Activists and NGOs repeated the claim with remarkable confidence. I didn't say that. Within hours, a single narrative had settled it. No, it wasn't a single narrative. I refuted that narrative, Tim. I'm sorry. I was out there saying the opposite. Israel had stranded them, and this instance somehow served as fresh proof of ethnic cleansing genocide. The volume repetition replaced factual understanding. Now, I have factual understanding. I just didn't have the information. I gave analysis, which turns out to be pretty accurate, except for the Kenyan Airways piece, but that was reported in the media. None of those pushing this narrative knew who these travelers were or why they're in South Africa. The actual explanation came from Arabic language social media groups used by Gazans. As the plane sat in the tarmac, family members and neighbors posted clarifications and shared their experiences. They described a structured exit process managed through Al-Majid Europe. Applicants register online, wait for confirmation, then pay $1,700 to $2,000. Local intermediaries in Gaza help gather documents. Names are submitted to the Israeli Coordination Office, and applicants wait for Israel to approve them. Once clearance comes through, Al-Majid gives final instructions and arranges the movement to Ramon Airport inside Israel. No, that's in Gaza, is it not? Ramon is in Gaza, is it not? The accounts were consistent. They showed a lawful, predictable pathway that ordinary Gazans knew existed. Most importantly, they made it clear that individuals wanted to leave Gaza. This was not the South African story. It was a product of a ceasefire framework and organized voluntary exit mechanism. Gazans paid for this process to exercise their own choice, not because of any sudden emergency or abandonment. Inside Gaza, the mechanism functions quietly. Applicants begin with an online registration. Okay, yada, yada, yada. Okay. The Sharm el-Sheikh agreement was negotiated earlier this year. Forms the foundation of this entire mechanism. It was concluded between the U.S., Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey. Okay. Palestinian Authority did not implement or administer it. Okay. South African commentators claimed Israel had blocked or abandoned the travelers. This was impossible when Israel is the state actor that approved, vetted, and physically enabled their departure. Hamas refuses to let its population leave. There you go. There you go. Israel's coordination of government activities in the territories publicly affirmed that the broader exit mechanisms operating out of Gaza reinforcing. Okay. All right. So the Israeli organization said 250 Gazans in need of medical treatment and caregivers, as well as Gazans with dual citizenship, exited Gaza on November 12th through the Karim Shalom crossing to the Allenby Bridge and the Ramon Airport. Okay, we urge countries and organizations to coordinate efforts to provide necessary support and treatment. Many have already done so. We remain committed to working with our partners. Yeah, see, once again, it's a smear on Israel. That's what this is all about. Ramon to Nairobi. The Ramon Airport, okay. I thought the Ramon Airport was in Gaza. I guess I'm mistaken about that. The global aviation flight left Joburg on the 12th of November, landed in Nairobi, and returned early on the 13th carrying the Gazan travelers. Kenya did not stamp their passports because they were in transit. Israel did not stamp passports because Israel discontinued stamping passports years ago to protect travelers from discrimination. Exactly. It used to be you had to carry 2 passports because if you were in Israel, you couldn't go to Jordan. Arab countries wouldn't let you enter if you had an Israeli passport stamp. Yep, that's why they stopped doing it. Now it's all digital anyway. Inside South Africa, these ordinary travel procedures were twisted into accusations. Gift givers publicly claimed Israel had refused to stamp passports. Activists echoed the claim. Officials wandered into the same messaging. The details of transit procedures were discarded and replaced with a narrative that matched domestic political agendas. Exactly right. Well, Tim Flack got this right. Throughout the day, officials issued contradictory statements. By the time travelers were allowed to disembark, the country had already been swept up in a completely false narrative. Gift of the givers, opportunistic intervention, distortion. Gift of the givers had no role in organizing any part. They did not arrange the exit, the coordination, transit of the aircraft. They only appeared once the plane had landed. Yet a single call from Imitas Suleiman triggered a rapid shift inside government. Durko, the presidency, and various spokesmen aligning their message with his public statements, despite these statements being factually wrong and based on misunderstanding or deliberate reframing of the process. Wow, that's insane. That's insane. All right, just checking with something. Yeah, this is a pretty incredibly well-written story here. The tragedy was never the arrival. It was how quickly South Africa turned a routine movement into a specific spectacle engineered for outrage. Lawful exit pipeline was repackaged as crisis. Facts gave way to slogans. By the time the truth emerges, the damage will have taken hold. This episode reveals a deeper structural problem. South Africa's political environment is so vulnerable to reactive storytelling that a single influential voice, can override it. The Ramon Corridor exposed how easily national understanding can be shaped by those who speak the loudest rather than those who know the facts. Well said by Tim Flack. Yeah, they aren't asylum seekers, they aren't refugees. Well done by Tim Flack. It's on business. Well, that's well done. Brilliant work on his part. Excellent. I'm impressed. So I've just written to Tim and asked him if he wants to come on. What is YouTube nonsense? It's just like this is just like the refugee situation. It's farmers, it's Afrikaners, it's white South Africans. It's not. It's just like they're not refugees. Refugees it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. Janice Lombard, thank you for subscription. Jonathan Vitboy, you are even in front of government now, reporting right. Well, I'm always in front of the government. I'm always out in front of them. Even without the war, I would think most Gazans would try to leave the place exactly. Exactly. I think I'd rather live in Tunisia if I was a Palestinian. I'd rather live in Jordan if I was a Palestinian. What's going on, Amanda? Some of my messages blocked. Well, because you'd love to know why? Well, then stop typing things that YouTube blocks. Nobody's deleting you. I see your comment there. YouTube removes people's comments. If you've used inappropriate, there's a couple words that I block, like the N word and the K word, but that's automatically set so you can't put it in here. Don't you need a flight plan? Yes, it was all set. That's why the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Sounds like a backlash to use against U.S. because they open a refugees program to South Africans. I don't think so. I think my analysis was spot on, that I made fun of Lamola when he's trying to claim the refugees or not. So I did 2-day prep for nothing. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I don't know what these groups are. The Gauteng group, the Western Cape group. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm not involved in that. His funds didn't clear. Oh, what the hell is that? The funds didn't clear? Back a Buddy didn't clear. When did you request the funds? I wonder how long that was, because we'll start attacking Back a Buddy if that's the crap they're going to pull. Julia said that racial minorities must be dealt with decisively. Yeah, that people are making a big stink about that. I mean, decisively, yeah. Well, the government of South Africa must be dealt with decisively. That doesn't mean someone's going to go to war with them. You know, it's Malema chose his words well. That's not an offense. There's nothing you can do about that. Nothing you can do about that. Yes, you need a flight plan. Oh, I'm the first person to report on it properly. Well, thank you. Well, I did my best in the absence of information. I just, look, I mean, it doesn't mean I got everything right. I got the Kenya part wrong because the media said Kenya Airways, and I reported what the media said, and then I analyzed it. So it doesn't mean I got it wrong. I just reported what they said, and I analyzed it. And it did make sense. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Okay. Pearl says, I don't know Jonathan Vitboy, and he probably doesn't know me. Any news on 1A3? What are you talking about, Garrett? Fabian's here. Welcome to Fabian. Good to see you there again. His mom didn't give him enough pop and pops. First journal scanner, right? Thank you for that, Jonathan. Appreciate that. Saw a video from Steven. All right. So, okay. So, hey, stay tuned, folks. I might have Tim Flack on the program to talk about this, and maybe this evening if he's up for it. Okay. So, yeah, that would be cool. We'll talk about it. Okay. Okay. Let me look for Ramon Air Base. I thought that was in Gaza for some reason. Ramon, it is in Israel. My bad. That one I don't know. Let's see where it's at. Oh, that's nowhere near Gaza. That's not the place I was thinking of. Okay, I'm definitely off on that one. Yeah, the Ramon Air Base, according to this, is way down here. That's not what I was thinking of at all. Maybe I was thinking of somewhere else. I used to live in Israel, but nowhere near there. There's Ramon Camp. I guess that's where the base is. I thought there was the base up here in Gaza City near there. So, interesting. Yeah, it's YouTube doing it to you, Amanda. Just stop typing things they're pissing them off. You're making them mad. You're making YouTube mad. Don't make them mad. All right. So, saw this video from Stephen A. with handling Malema. I saw. Someone sent me that. I watched it. It's a nothing burger. Yeah, that's hyperbole. I saw that. I heard his rant somewhere today. Dumber must be very out of line and no one else saying about his criminal behavior. Okay. No flights allowed to leave Gaza. Childish and mature. They terrorize people, all creeds here. Yep. Want to bypass YouTube? Type in Afrikaans. There you go. Oh, the whole internet got it wrong the whole day. You reported it right here tonight. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, thank you. Well, that's because one of my viewers gave me that link. But I mean, also, pretty much most of what I said was accurate too, with any absence of information. We're really dealing with a vacuum of information. But the whole saga is just like, I mean, it's no different than what's going on with the refugee situation. You know, these people just jump on board and believe anything they hear. Mad Max. The question is, did you bet Colonel 500? Huh? Oh, yeah, Arctic did. Is Arctic here? Someone else, there was a question, someone else offered $50 on that bet. I forget who it was. Someone was asking. I don't remember who that was. Yep. All right, Edgley. We'll catch you later. Bucks by how many tomorrow? Bucks by, let me see what I put in Super Brew. Let me just make sure I got Super Brew. By the way, Namibia lost. Their dream is over. No more. They're going to break their string of going to World Cups. It's disappointing, to say the least. I feel bad for them. But they had a lot of injuries, and they didn't look very good at all. Okay, so, last week I was fantastic. I only got one game wrong, and that was when I took a flyer on Portugal when I should have gone with Uruguay, and I knew better. All right, I've got Georgia by 10 over Canada. I've got South Africa by 19 over Italy. Romania by 7 over the USA, but that one's dicey. The USA might be able to pull that one out. New Zealand by 14 over England. Wales by 7 over Japan. Wales sucks, but this is the one game they can win. France by 20 over Fiji, and Ireland by 14 over Australia. Scotland on Sunday by 7 over Argentina. Now, that's a flyer, too. I'm not confident about my Scotland over Argentina pick, and I'm also not confident about my Wales pick or my Romania. So this weekend, I got 3 games I'm not sure about, and I'll bet you all 3 go against me. But other than that, I feel pretty confident in my picks. You think it's gifted givers? What is gifted givers, Leone? Well, Andabant says by 17. I said 19, so we're simpatico on that one. England to win. Really? England to win over the All Blacks? I mean, it wouldn't be a shocker, but I don't think it's going to happen. Bucks 45, Italy 22. That's probably reasonable, Conrad. Yep, especially with the bomb squad comes in. Yeah, I'm trying to use Tim Fleck. I know Tim Fleck. I've known for a very long time. Yep. So, but I don't talk with him very often. They could have cherry picked any terrorist to be part of that group. Yeah, that's true. I don't know that Gift the Givers is complicit. I do know that Gift the Givers appears to have jumped the gun. Maybe that's why Dr. Suleiman said later. I don't know Pearl Vitboy, but I do live in Pearl. I like Pearl. Nati Quads is there. Yeah, nice place. Yep. Yeah, Japan cannot be underestimated. South Africa. Well, that was a long time ago, Daniel. And that was just dumb. That never should have happened. You know, I had tickets for that game. Yep. In Brighton. And then the next game I went to was USA versus, was it Samoa? I think it was, who was it? Fiji? No, it was Samoa, I think it was, yeah. At the same venue. Brighton. Yep. Yeah, no, folks, just go do your DNA. You're a lot closer related than you realize. You found my doppelganger, did you? Well, lots of people see my doppelganger. Baby Chris was on here earlier. Boca 38, Italy 18. That's not a bad pick either, but you're right there at the 20-point mark. I said 19. Someone else said 17. We're all kind of in the same gift. Gifted givers are definitely involved. I'm sure it will come out in the future. Well, Jonathan, I have no evidence of that. I've asked Dr. Suleiman to come on the program. I suspect he'll probably beg off, and I won't fault him for that. This is something that could be reputational damage, and so he's probably got to be smart about what he says. So I think to be fair, okay. So so just waiting for a response back on that. Hey Dylan, how's it going on? How's it going? A friend of mine lives next to Grant Williams. Wow, he seems like a quiet person, but he's an incredible player. Yeah. One of my favorite scrum halves. He and Kobus Reinach have been at the top of my list for a long time. I like Mornay van den Berg too. He's pretty darn good. Yep. But Grant Williams was the guy I was arguing should be the guy in the World Cup when we were in France. Yep. He came in against Scotland. He was unbelievable. Bookies have Italy by 21. Okay. Oh, is that what the spread is? I don't look at the spread. I just make my own picks. I do need a haircut. It's looking kind of long, and it gets kind of wavy at some point. Plus, in the wintertime, it gets staticky. South Africa known as South. Okay. Hey, Fonz, what are you laughing about? I don't think Van den Berg is the best scrum half we have. No, I think Kobus Reinach is the best scrum half we have. Cheech and Chong. Still, they laugh the day of Bucky's hit on my wife. Bucky's Bota? Wow, Alan. Okay. Anyway, so that may be coming up shortly, folks. So just hang tight, and we'll see if we can't get him on. $21 points on the spread. No, I didn't realize that was the case. But the Springbok game is what's interesting is usually I build up the Springbok game, but tomorrow it's the first game out of the hopper. I'm right out of the gate with the Springboks game at 7:30. I'll come on a little bit before 7:30, as long as I'm up. But that game is right out of the gate, so it's the first one. So then we have England and New Zealand. So at the end of the month, get back to December. It'll be time to get back to the URC. Ladies all worked up about my hair. What's the deal with my hair? Wega's excited about my hair. My hair looks golden. It's not golden color, but golden as in silky soft. I mean, this stuff is just nice. I mean, look at it. Oh, Erica, don't say that. Nothing wrong with my forehead wrinkles. They've been there my entire life. That's because my brain is working overtime. See that? My brain is working overtime. That's why. So, I'm worried about Ireland next week. Our boat. Yes, that is our trap game. We got to be careful there. Well, no, Italy's the trap game, but Ireland is the one we got. We can't take our foot off the gas. You can expect to see Etzebeth back for that one. You won't see Lutiager. Yep, he's got a suspension. Yep. Rian Haymans, you've just tuned in late. I said the Springboks by 19. Typical Western Province Stormer cut, says the Shark supporter. I would pay to see you with military haircut and short beard. Well, Paul, I've had it many times. Obviously, I haven't been around very long. Your doppelganger is the thumbnail on Fox YouTube page for me. Oh, okay. I've never seen it. Okay. All the American people I've met in South Africa have bold, bushy hair. Well, there's plenty of bald Americans. Trust me. How much would you pay, Paul? I'm already in a bet with Artie for $500. How much you want to bet I get a haircut? Yeah, there'll be a night out, Kathy. It's Friday night. Saturday night, excuse me. I'm not doing it on Saturday nights. I am doing it on Friday nights, but not Saturday nights. It's the one night of the week that I don't do them. Oh my goodness, Paulie. Yes, he's been waiting for the beard to be gone. So, well, the beard has been shorter. Thank you, Paulie, for your membership. 52 months. That's over 4 years. Thank you so much. No mullets. Mullets don't look good on me. High and tights don't look good on me because my wrinkles in my forehead, as Erica so kindly pointed out. Pennies have been scarce for many years, and now they're just going to be even more scarce because the mint has stopped producing them. They cost too much. It's 4 cents to produce every penny. Not having a hooker on the bench is a bit disrespectful. Well, let's take a look at things. Let's take a look at what we got here. Okay. Well, yeah, I see that. You're right. You're right. It is kind of weird. That is an odd lineup. Taking a risk there. Yeah, we're definitely going to be short one man in the front row. So somebody's going to have to go the whole 80 minutes. Yeah, exactly. How much would you pay, Candida? By the way, folks, I mean, I bit the bullet last night. I spent the money, and I ordered that snowblower because, I mean, with the hip, I can't shovel snow anymore. So we'll see how it goes. It's an electric one, so there's no gas motor, no oil, no gas to change, no oil and gas to mix. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes well. It comes from a company that I got my lawnmower from. So I bought 2 lawnmowers from them. They've proven to be pretty reliable and pretty functional. But yeah, so yeah. The only thing is it's battery operated, not hooked up to a cord, so I don't know how long the battery's going to last. Lutiager was one of the questions on the quick quiz, and Lady got it wrong. Got 4 out of 5 Monday quick quiz. Oh. Well, that's a shame. What did Alana say? Do not understand this about the Colonel's hair, beard. When he may drink, when he may not. Leave him. Martin. Yeah, no, it's the price of fame. What's your thoughts on Millennium's call for society? My thoughts is it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. It's not an incitement to violence. He's just being an ass. He's a criminal. He must be dealt with. Julius Malema should be sentenced to prison for his crimes. He's a convicted criminal now. That's not hyperbole. That's not slander. That's not defamation. He's a convicted criminal. Why is he on the Judicial Service Commission? That must be dealt with before we deal with anything else. Why is a convicted criminal sitting in Parliament and on the Judicial Service Commission? Julius Malema must go. He must go. Must go, must go, must go, must go. So nothing Julius Malema has to say has any value or merit whatsoever because he's a convicted criminal. And he's a position of authority. He should not be there. But that's a nothing burger. He didn't say anything to get him in trouble. That's nothing. It's from Irish Shamanga. Those wrinkles are from frowning at what the dumb shit South African politicians are saying. Maybe. And the dumb American politicians, for that matter. Don't leave them out. All right, Ronell, take care. Not a lot, Ice Man ZA. When I was a kid, there was a lot more snow here in Pennsylvania, but I was further northeast. And there's Paul. Thank you for wow, is that the first super chat? Wow, it's the first super chat in the stream. What the hell is going on here? My goodness, I feel like this feels like a Ronaldo host broadcast where nobody's giving money. I mean, the only people give money on Ronaldo's shows, they want to see his silly stripper chats. I don't do this, but man, what the first super chat? I didn't realize that. See how much I pay attention to these super chats? That's the first one, man. Crazy. I'll be your next president. Yeah, that's what delusional people say. That's like, I know I will never be the ambassador to South Africa. I'm not rich and connected. I don't know people in D.C. So when I talk about being an ambassador, I'm just like, I'm having a go at it. I just said that you usually don't have the time to listen or watch or read everything I send you. Oh, no, Alana, that's true. That's true. Actually, in your stuff, I tend, like a few other people, I tend to get to it later because you're sending me things that are useful, but I don't always have time to read them. So, but we're not usually like, I'm in trouble, I need help, this sort of thing. I'm so fed up with this country and all its hateful politics. Now they're letting in Gazans. It's beyond belief. Globalists want open borders. The future won't be happy. Yes, ascending up. I think you got something there. Okay. Now the super chat's coming. Oh, look at this. There it comes. Debbie Fox, 350 Rand. Thank you, Debbie. And Paul, 14 was a bit low. Let's get the clouds to gather. Yes, clouds are gathering. Tata. Hey, Tata, are you listening, Tata? The clouds are gathering. Yes. Clouds are gathering. There's 2 super chats. Wow, look at that. I didn't even have to set an artificial target like Ronaldo does. Yeah, you can start a campaign for me to head the refugee program. I'll send the lead messages again. I thought you'd already sent them. I already clicked on them. Is someone impersonating you, Alana, or are you like 30 minutes behind, or did I see this in the future? Didn't I not see something from Alana? There it is. Yeah, you sent me the business. You gave me the Tim Flack story, didn't you? How does it blow the snow? Well, what it does is there's these corkscrew-like things that spin around, and they catch the snow, and they lift it up, and it is blown out the top. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A couple of the neighbors have really big ones, but back to the answer to the question, because I interrupted. Snow. Probably 4, maybe 5 serious snowfalls during the winter. Oftentimes snow will come and happen a lot if it stays cold, but yeah, 4 or 5 big snowfalls winter. It's not a lot. It's not like Dakota or Wyoming. You get like 4 feet, 2-3 meters, 4 meters of snow out there sometimes. Brad and Julia sees a description of the weather in southern Britain and surprised he's still exactly the same. Yeah, he's exactly the same. Tesla is a unit of magnetism. Okay, Garrett. Hey, Garrett, how's it going, man? I've seen you popping in lately, but I missed you before. Were you in upstate New York during the Great Blizzard of 78? No, Light Rain. I was in Ohio. Oh, my goodness. I've told this story before. We opened the second-story window and walked right. That's what I did. Light Rain, that's exactly what I did in Ohio. In Fairfield County, Ohio. Woke up in the morning, and my mom's like, we got to get out of here. I'm like, what's going on? And we went to the second story, and we lowered the window. Snow came in because it was up to the second story. We had drifts, and we had several feet of snow, and we pushed it back out, and then we all just slid right down the snow. But the snow, I was a kid. The snow was still stuck way over my hips, almost up to my chest. We managed to get like a shovel and clear enough so we could get out to the road. And the road had been partially cleared by, I think, National Guard dozer or something that came through. I don't remember exactly, but partially cleared. But we managed to go. We couldn't stay in the house. There was no heat. There was no power. There was no nothing. And I think we had like electric furnace. So we couldn't stay warm. And it was cold, man. So we went to a neighboring, I guess it's like a farm. They had a big pond and a big open field. And they had like a house. It was like the summer thing where they go down and go fishing on their big pond. And they sit outside. It was a big room, lots of space. And they had wood fire stove and everything in there. And they had plenty of firewood. And they also had some water tanks and such. So we went down there. And that's where we spent like 4 days. Like 4 days, man. I'll never forget that. The blizzard of 78 was epic, man. Let me see if I can find some images of the blizzard of 78. My goodness. I mean, you've never experienced anything. Yeah, well, I don't know, in Pennsylvania, Ohio. There you go. Blizzard of 78, Ohio. Let me see. Okay. Great Blizzard of 78, also known as the Cleveland Super Bomb, was a historic winter storm that struck the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes region. 51 people died in Ohio from exposure, heart attacks while shoveling snow, or lack of heat. Wind gusts reached 50, 70 miles an hour across much of the state, with peak gusts at 82 in Cleveland, 69 in Columbus and Dayton. Most areas received over a foot of new snow on existing snowpack, and intense winds created drifts 15 to 25 feet high. That's what we were dealing with, the drifts. Barometric pressure, record low barometric pressure was recorded, including 28.8 inches in Cleveland. The storm closed all major transportation, including the Ohio Turnpike. Nearly 6,000 motorists were stranded on the highways. Governor James Rhodes declared a state of emergency, calling it the greatest disaster in Ohio history. National Guard conducted thousands of rescue missions. We eventually saw the National Guard. Schools and businesses were closed for up to a week, and some roads remained impassable for longer. Snow remnants lasted until May in some areas. This happened in January. It was insane. Wow. The Great Blizzard is 78. Man, what? That's insane. You all here, look at this. Columbus Dispatch. 46 years ago, this is from last year. Deadly blizzard of 78 piled snow drifts, 10 feet high, led to 51 deaths. It was more than 10 feet high for us. That was downtown Columbus during the blizzard. A cold, low-pressure area from North Dakota met a warm, moist, low-pressure area from the Gulf of Mexico, causing temperature pressure to drop dramatically and white clouds to swirl over Ohio. Temperatures dropped 21 degrees from 34 degrees to 13 degrees between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? It dropped 21 degrees in 1 hour. 1 frickin' hour. Temperatures remained around zero during the storm, but hurricane-force winds brought the wind chills to 60 below. Wow. That was a house that collapsed under all the snow. COTA, Central Ohio Transit Authority. See, look at this here. See, it's a truck driver getting out of a truck. His truck is buried in snow, in a snowdrift. Truck driver James Truly is helped from the cab of his rig after spending most of 5 days buried in the truck beneath a huge snowdrift in Mansfield. Truly stopped his semi-trailer along Route 13 north of Mansfield during a massive blizzard. The storm raged for several days and snow completely covered the big rig. No one knew for a couple of days that he and his truck were in the drift. It was finally discovered on January 6th when Ohio Air National Guard personnel were opening the state highway with a big snowblower. That guy was buried under snow for 5 days. That's insane. Yeah. Here's the surface map. This is where the storm hit. This is insane. He's talking about New York. Look at that. Most of Pennsylvania, all of New York, all of Ohio, all of Indiana, much of Illinois, even into Canada. That was an insane storm, an absolutely insane storm. So they talk about climate change. This is almost 50 years ago. Here you go. This is looking back. This is from WBNS. That's at Columbus Station. Look at those cars. 47th anniversary. It was January this year. Look at that. Man, oh man. Lived out in the country. National Guards come to check on us. We ended up digging them out of the snow after the attempt of walking a half-mile down a driveway and sunk into a snowdrift. They were taken to our house and gave them hot chocolate. Another National Guard had to come pick them up and dig their vehicle out. Wow. I lived in an old mansion, nothing but wood heat fireplace, a 7-bedroom, no power, but we had lanterns and candles. We sat around. Plenty of food. Daddy always stocked up and prepared. Had potatoes in the cellar, fresh water from the hill. Yeah, we got water out of the pond, and we boiled it. Wow. Alana says I'll explain later. Okay. How does it blow the snow? Oh, I already said that. Okay. Where John Spence gave 70 running behind the stream, but you have seen the article in Germany of the polio detected in their sewage? No. Middle Eastern strain. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. I didn't see that. No, thank you for that. I was once part of a film crew in Drakensberg after days of snow, dead antelope, and wildlife across the mountains. So we've got some more super chats. Rian Haymans gave a 15 Rand super chat. There's snippets from South Africa. He's got 35 Rand super chat. Oh, now we're starting to feel like a Ronaldo broadcast. No, just kidding. So I guess December will be a bit too cold to camp out in your lawn. Yes, that would be correct. Did you see an uptake in your views a couple of days ago? And it went down again for a bit. Yes, Alana. Okay. Thank you. I did see an uptick in my views, and then they're back down again. So are you saying YouTube did something? That would explain an awful lot. So I can tell you. Let me just tell you about that very quickly here. Wow, I've got viewers are going down now. What's going on? We're down to 384. What happened there? But I can tell you that this is how my last videos have gone, okay? So I saw an uptick. I went from 8,700 to 41,000 to 50,000 to 60,000. Then back down to 10, 16, 19, 18, 6, 15, 22, 21, 5, 6, and 4. Yep, all over the place. all over the place. Is Rob? No, I don't think about Rob Herstar flying anywhere. What are you talking about? So I guess December. Okay. Thank you for that, Alana. Yeah, so YouTube is up to something. Yeah, see what happens? YouTube controls everything. YouTube controls your popularity, controls your revenue stream, controls your business. They have all the control over it. Never experienced snow. Well, you're going to enjoy that. Okay. I've never even seen snow. We're going to snow country in Ohio. You're going to Ohio. Where in Ohio? Do you know, Renee? Okay. Thank you, Jean Spence, for the super chat. No, I got you. You related 2,000 years ago, the same weather. That's why, we're talking about, climate change. Britain's the same as it was 2,000 years ago. Exactly. White Christmas get pretty old for about 3 of them. No, White Christmas never gets old. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I love White Christmas. Never gets old. Snow gets old at times, but not a White Christmas. Minus 24 degrees at 8 a.m. in Switzerland, minus to 47 Dubai. Yeah, that's because you left one reason, went to another. Oh, talking about your dogs. Okay. He was found alive after 5 days, Delmarie. I don't know how he pulled that off. He obviously didn't run the truck. He would have died of carbon monoxide poisoning. We have undersea cable faults and peeving. Yeah, okay, there you go. I'm going to Cleveland. Oh, I'm sorry, Renee. The mistake by the lake. Cleveland, yeah. No, it's all right. Yeah, internet is dodgy for a lot of folks. Cronier Sten. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we got 392 viewers right now. I need to do something very quickly here. I need to, once again, put a call out. Because of the snafus going on with the refugee program, so we'll talk about refugees now. With the snafus going with the refugee program, we've got a number of people that are really being inconvenienced, and they truly are. I mean, be in Pretoria at 8 o'clock in the morning. What? Or 7:30? I'm in Howick. That's not easy. We need you to be in Cape Town tomorrow, but I'm in Pretoria. Just maybe come all the way here from PE. So a lot of people are in a bind. If you have the inclination and you have the resources, you're able to help. If you could please reach out to me via email quickly or WhatsApp, if you can host people who are coming up for a couple of days for their interviews and such, if you can do that, okay? I'm not asking you to feed them. That's your prerogative if you want to do that. But if you can host people, we've got some people in a bind who really, really have no place to stay and can't afford it. Some people put all their money into getting a bus ticket to get up there. So if you can help out, please send me a message and I will put you in contact with a few people that need help. Okay? All right. So we'll do our best to help with that. There's the email address. Henry just put it up. The only one you should send things to. Okay? What's wrong with Cleveland? It's Cleveland. I'm talking particularly in Pretoria, Joburg, and Cape Town is where I'm talking about. Snow in Underberg. Never been so cold, wet, and cold, wet. You had the wrong kit. Yeah, snow is fantastic, man. Receipts on refugees. Okay, what's this?
Along with Dr. Imtiaz. Good morning, this is Sarah Westhazen of Give to the Givers. Along with Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman and a team, we have been working tirelessly since before the Palestinian arrivals in South Africa OR Tambo Airport yesterday morning. We were made aware of their approach because of family members who had arrived on the first flight under almost exactly the same conditions who arrived on the 28th of October. The first flight's passengers disembarked as they should be able to disembark, yet they too did not have exit stamps from the Israeli authorities upon leaving Israel via Kenya and arriving in South Africa. Yesterday's arrivals were in the same situation, yet the Border Management Authority of South Africa and Department of Home Affairs have issued a statement saying that they were denied exit of the aeroplane because they did not express the intention for asylum, neither did they have the correct documentation.
Well, that would be correct. If they've arrived there, under South African law, you don't have to be legally in the country to claim asylum. You just have to do it within a reasonable amount of time, which expectation is 5 days. That's South African law. U.S. law, you must be here legally to claim asylum. But you don't have to be there legally. So you can enter the country illegally and then claim asylum. So stamps on passports wouldn't matter. Exit visas wouldn't matter. Entry visas wouldn't matter if you claimed asylum, but none of them want asylum. So that's true, but she's going to complain, I'll bet you.
The majority of the refugees on board expressly indicate
They are not refugees. They are not refugees. I'm sorry, ma'am. According to Ronnie Lamola himself, they're not refugees in the South African government. They're not living in tents. They're not fleeing a war zone, and they're not registered with the UN. Those are the conditions that South Africa claims you must have to be a refugee. Of course, that's a lie. That's not true. That's not true. Just like the South African refugees don't have to be living in a tent, they don't have to be fleeing a war zone, and they don't have to be registered with the UN. But, I'm just using the definition that your government uses, miss. Just using the definition that your government uses to dismiss the plight of racial minorities in South Africa. So let's continue. They're not refugees, and they're not asylum seekers by their own choice.
their desire to seek asylum in South Africa.
All right, first off, this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. Asylum and refugee status are completely separate legal definitions. One is not the same. You cannot apply that. A refugee is a refugee, an asylum seeker is an asylum seeker. They're very different bases. She is commingling the two words because she is unfamiliar. She's reading a statement here. I don't know who the lady is. I'm not trying to criticize her, but she's wrong.
The rest, when in possession of visas and necessary documentation, will exercise their right to move to other countries of their choice. However, despite every effort on the ground pre their arrival and after their landing, they were denied exit off a closed aeroplane under horrific conditions yesterday.
Horrific conditions. Sweetheart, I've been stuck on a plane for hours in oppressive heat without an APU, an auxiliary power unit. I'm sorry. There's no empathy here. They entered the country illegally, and the authorities had to determine who they were. When did you contact the authorities, and who did you contact? And why did Dr. Suleiman have to contact Ronnie Lamola personally after they arrived? Why didn't he contact Ronnie Lamola sooner? How about before they arrived? Since you had advance notification, why didn't Gift of the Givers contact immigration authorities before they arrived? You said you knew about it. You admitted in this video that you knew about it before they arrived. So this should have been avoided. You said in your statement that people who came on the flight on the 28th of October said their family are coming on this flight. So you knew about it in advance. How long did Gift of the Givers know about it in advance, and why didn't you coordinate with the Border Management Agency and with Home Affairs when you found out? Why did you wait for them to land and then make a spectacle of it?
153 passengers, including a full-term pregnant young mother.
I'm sorry. A full-term pregnant young mother should not be on a flight. Why is she on a flight? Airlines have rules about pregnant women flying them. We don't need to have people having their water break on a flight. There used to be a time when you couldn't fly after you were 4 or 5 months pregnant. I don't know where that went out the window somewhere. But why is a full-term pregnant mother on that flight? That was her choice. And you want empathy for her dumb decision.
Experiencing labor pains and severe distress. A young child who...
If she had labor pains, then she should have been removed and put in detention and gave birth there.
Went into seizures. Dehydrated, hungry, stressed, anxious Palestinian refugees.
Hungry. Have you been on a flight before and not been hungry? Stressed. Flying is stressful. Sitting on a plane is stressful. That doesn't change the situation or explain why Gift of the Givers didn't contact the Border Management Authority in advance of the arrival of the plane.
On board were denied their right to disembark.
Stop, full stop, Ms. Oosthuizen. They have no right to disembark. That is at the pleasure of South African authorities. There's no such thing as you go where you want on this planet. States have sovereignty. We have heard Ronnie Lamola, we have heard Cyril Ramaphosa, we have heard Fikede Mabulula constantly yelp, and we heard Julius Malema yesterday yelp about how South Africa is a sovereign state. It is a sovereign state, and they have the right. They have the right to let people in. People don't have the right to go. I don't have the right to go to New Zealand. It's a privilege for me to go there. The only place I have a right to go is America. That's it. They don't have a right. There's no right for them to transit. I'm sorry. You're mistaken. It's up to South African authorities.
Suleiman was assured by DIRCO that they could disembark, enter a safe venue at the airport, and undergo the needs assessment, medical care, receive food, and
What? So they came to South Africa for medical care? They came there for needs assessment? They're not asylum seekers. They didn't claim asylum. They're not legal refugees. So why are they coming to South Africa and demanding care and needs assessment? I'm a little confused by that.
hydration, and proceed to process their claim to asylum or transit. However, despite this undertaking being given to him, this was denied seemingly by the Department of Home Affairs and definitely by border management authorities.
Which is their legal prerogative. It is their legal prerogative. Yeah, I've been rewriting on flights and sat on tarmacs in third countries needlessly for hours.
Their statement today is disingenuous. In it, they say that the Palestinian refugees did not express their intent to seek asylum. We have video record as well as one of our members who was allowed on board, Mr. Nigel Branken, a social worker with an interpreter on board.
Mr. Nigel Branken, who was on the flight? Or was he entering in South Africa?
With a written statement as well as video statements of refugees asking desperately for asylum.
Okay, listen, Mr. Oosthuizen, either they're refugees or they're asylum seekers. They're not both. They're not both. And why did 23 of them fly on to a different destination if they were seeking asylum in South Africa? I'm a little confused about that.
We have evidence from family members who had arrived on the first flight pleading for the release of their pregnant daughter.
Why is a pregnant daughter on the flight?
The statement made yesterday is full of errors, and this should be investigated fully. This has caused...
I think what needs to be investigated fully is the origin of the story and the lies that are being told about this, and also the intervention of a South African private citizen into the affairs of government. How do private citizens have such influence over the government that the government reacted in this fashion? Yeah, why should they get free food medical care?
Embarrassment to the South African government. Worse than that, it subjected people who have undergone 2 years of genocidal treatment.
All right, there's no credibility to the statement whatsoever. The woman doesn't know the definition of genocide. We're done listening to her. I've been very polite about her comments so far, but she doesn't understand this is Islamist bullshit is what that is. That's just nonsense. There's no genocide. That's a lie. There's a genocide in Myanmar against Muslims there. Absolutely. The Rohingya are being wiped out intentionally to destroy them as an ethnic identity. The Uyghurs are being wiped out as a religious and ethnic identity, Muslims in China. You want to talk about ethnic cleansing, genocide? Let's talk about those places, Mr. Oosthuizen. There is no effort to eliminate Palestinians or Arabs. They're everywhere in the Middle East. There are millions of Palestinians living in Jordan. They outnumber Jordanians. In Samaria and Judea, there are 2 million Palestinians living. In Gaza, there are 2 million Palestinians living. In Kuwait, there are 500,000 Palestinians living. There are Palestinians living all over the world, including scumbag imports that come to America and have anchor babies that become vile, repulsive members of Congress here. There's no genocide here. No one is trying to eliminate Palestinians. Who is? If you think Israel is committing a genocide, then they are the least efficient genocideers on the planet. I mean, in Rwanda, they killed 850,000 people in 3 weeks. Yet 2 years and there's still 2 million Palestinians in Gaza. I mean, get real. Is it brutal? Yes. Is it war? Yes. Is it horrific? Yes. Are civilians victims? Yes. That's all true. But pulling the emotional strings of the G word is ineffective because it's a lie. It's an absolute lie. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. This is not helping anybody. Not helping anybody. Unbelievable. Flight came in without anyone knowing what else is coming in the country. Well, Max, we know that defense helicopters are flying to warlords. So South Africa is now in violation of two UN sanctions. They're just a rogue nation, man. They're shipping weapons to a warlord in violation of UN sanctions. We know that. Palestinians are seeking refugee status in South Africa, while its own minorities are fleeing and seeking asylum in the USA. Okay, you got it backwards. So, no, you got it backwards, Renee. These people are not refugees, and the people from South Africa are not asylum seekers. They're refugees. You got that backwards. Yeah, if they're so desperate, why didn't they stay in Kenya? Why weren't they in Kenya? Miss Oswald, why weren't they in Kenya? That's what I would like to know. Why were they not in Kenya? This is nonsense. Saving that video. I thought about that. Dr. Suleiman has proven funding for U.S. I don't know about that. Because Kenya knows better, says Cyrus. Yeah, these are the only flights we hear of. How many come in? Exactly. Yes, Kenya does accept refugees and some. They've got 650,000 Somalis living in Kenyan refugee camps, the largest refugee camp in the world. Reinforces why South Africans must go through all the hoops to get to the USA legally, according to this process, would hate to reception like this bunch. Exactly. Exactly. Hello, Ian. Hello, 609? There's not 609 people here. What are you talking about? We haven't had 609 people here. We never had 609 people. You talking about for this stream? There's 400 people here right now. Now, which is 600 people here, though? Yes, the Gazans could have been relocated to Morocco, to Tunisia, to Algeria, to Egypt, to Lebanon, to Syria, to Jordan, to Saudi Arabia, to the Emirates. Yeah, none of them there. Oh, 610 what? What are you guys talking about? Now I'm at 399. What stream are you watching? We're losing viewers, and you're talking about going up to 600. Oh, likes. Thank you. 600 likes. Okay. Man, gotcha. Do they have funding links? I don't know. Very strange. Looking to see if I've heard back from Dr. Suleiman. So I got an email from someone, or a WhatsApp from someone telling me they left my WhatsApp group because of my moderator's profane language and offending people who are chatting in there. For the 1 billionth time, I do not have a WhatsApp group where people can communicate. My WhatsApp group is limited to myself and my moderators. That's it. And the only thing gets put in there is posting. So please stop blaming me for things I'm not associated with. Like the scam artist who came to my Centurion meet and greet and took a photo of me and then falsely claimed that I supported his scam. Thankfully, my viewers called him out because they knew he was a scumbag. You know, I don't know what this is about. I'm getting tired of people blaming me for shit that I have nothing to do with. Stop blaming me for crap I have nothing to do with. Okay? Good Lord. Not my WhatsApp group. I am not the U.S. government. I am not the person that controls every freaking Facebook group and every WhatsApp group. I have told you folks 1 billion freaking times. I have 2 WhatsApp groups. No one can communicate them, and that was intentional. So I wouldn't have to hear this bullshit about me having moderators that are abusing people. No one can communicate in there. It's an information receive only. The same with my Telegram group. That's it. Don't blame me for these other groups. I have nothing to do with them. Nothing. Do you want to say the words coming out of my mouth? Nothing. By the way, how many times have I told people to leave the WhatsApp groups? Do not go in them. They are toxic. Why are you in WhatsApp groups where you're getting pissed off and then blaming me because you've got a problem? I mean, it's ludicrous. Ludicrous. Exactly. If you don't like what you see, hear, or read, then just leave. You don't need to send me an announcement part, Exactly. If you can chat, the channel's not affiliated with me in the refugees. I have channels where people can chat. And if you don't like what's said there, then you can leave. If you're unhappy with your treatment there, you can contact me. But don't tell me I left, because if you got a problem, contact me. I deal with it. No, people are hard-headed. They don't listen. They just don't listen. Now, I guarantee you there are no sides to that story, Chris Wyatt, because I'm telling you that people are accusing me of being responsible for people abusing people in groups where people can chat. You cannot chat in my refugee groups. Full stop. There's no two sides to the story. There's no two sides. No one can put anything in those groups. 3 groups. 2 on WhatsApp, 1 on Telegram. There's no this and that. No, that's just full. It's done. Yep, even they ask if you're in WhatsApp and Facebook groups. Stay out of them. Stay out of them. Erica lost her mind because of WhatsApp groups, and I told her to stay out of them. And then, are you here, Erica? And then she left my channel because of that. She disappeared for a while because she didn't need that grief. And I said, fine. I mean, that's your prerogative, but that's not happening here. You're going in Facebook groups, in WhatsApp groups. That's not me. I can't control what people do. Exactly. The WhatsApp groups are the blind leading the blind. You also got people in there who are disclosing locations, which is illegal. You can't do that. Oh, gotcha, Chris. Gotcha. Thank you, Renee Bielefeld. Yeah, Auntie Floyd says, we left the WhatsApp groups ages ago. They gave misinformation. Yeah. Garrett has been ignored. Who's ignoring you, Garrett? You haven't had a comment here. And let's see. Oh, there you go. Stand in line. I'm German. My old man was the HJ. Oh, okay. Sorry. You're not being ignored. You wrote the message 1 minute ago, Garrett. You wrote your message 1 minute ago. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 more messages came in that minute since you posted your comment. And you're not being ignored. Come on, dude. You're just messing with me now. Do you have links about gift givers funding links? Oh, miss a lot. People only hear what suits their narrative. Exactly. No, Mad Max, you're mistaken. That's not the group. No, that's not the group. The groups when it comes to refugee thing. Hang on a second here. Okay, hang on a second. Why is this not here? Okay, so I'm just getting with Tim Flack now. Anyway, the groups that I have on WhatsApp are U.S. Refugee Admissions Info. 2 of them. Info group. That's all it is, an info group. All right? So this one has 985 members. So if you want to join it, here's the link. Okay? But you cannot comment there. So I don't know how people are being abused in conversations because there are no conversations. It's simply impossible. That is the first group. The only 2 people published in that one are pretty much Hendo and I. And initially I didn't want anything in there except refugee related stuff. But then I started putting all my videos in there, and I wasn't comfortable with that, but I just let it go. This one's at 977. Both of them were peaked out, but now they're just disappearing. This is the second one. So are you saying Spatzy? I'm not a big fan of Spatzy. Spätzle, I like that. So that's the second one. So if people want to join it, that's it. Those are the ones, and you can't comment there. 3 people left. There's nothing here. Nothing here. Like, I'll show you this group. I don't know what people are complaining about. So here you go. So there's the group. Okay? There's the group. There's no chat here. We're live streaming now. Those are just links. There's no chat. That's that one. Hendo and I are the only ones in there. All these people just requested to join. Look at this. Hendo. What is Hendo? He's the only moderator. How is he possibly? I mean, people attacking me, and claiming, stop blaming me for other people's activity, man. It's insane. All right, I got 9 requests to join. Okay, I see people are watching the program. That group has now got 9 approvals. I just did a background check on all of you in my head instantaneously. And 1 person for group number 2. Okay, that's an unknown number. I take a risk there. Why are you hiding your number from me? Oh, you're teasing me. Okay, thank you. That's why I'm like, man, come on. It's been like a minute. That's why I said you must be pulling live. Love to talk with you. I wonder if it's possible. Hang on a second. So those are my 2 groups. All right, so I'm okay, cool. All right, I'm going to have Tim Flack on at the bottom of the hour, folks. Okay, he just agreed to come on at the bottom of the hour, so I'll schedule that for the bottom of the hour. And there we go. So, all right, cool beans. Okay. All right, so we'll send that to him now. About 20. All right, cool. All right, so I'll set that up now. All right. People may destroy your image, stain your personality, but they can't take away your good deeds, because no matter how they describe you, you'll still be admired by those who really know you better. No, Tinky, thank you very much for that. No, that's the thing, So like when these black supremacists and the flying monkeys from a certain crowd of blue-haired leftist former streetwalkers in South Africa attacked me and called me a racist and all this other nonsense. The problem with that story is that if I'm a racist, why did I write a presidential daily brief that kept 640,000 black Africans from starving to death? How is it that I managed to work dozens of jobs in 40 years in uniform and never had a single allegation of any such nonsense like that? How is it that I successfully worked for black generals, for women who were generals, and I got the highest ratings possible if I was one of those things? These people are just full of themselves. It's penis envy. They're small-minded people who have nothing but ad hominem attacks. And that's why at the end of the day, I mean, it's annoying and you have to refute some of it, but it doesn't change who I am. I will not change how I treat people fairly. Yep. Yeah, we're going to have Tim on at the bottom of the hour. So let me set that up while we chat here, folks. Let me go ahead and set that up now. I want to put a live stream schedule for the bottom of the hour and then transmit you right there. Schedule a stream. Okay, create a new. Going to be the real story behind the Palestinian charter. To Joburg. Conversation with Tim, F-L-A-C-K. Okay, cool. Conversations typed wrong. Palestinians typed wrong. Okay. I had too many characters. Okay, flight to Joburg. I'll take charter out of there, and then I can fit it. Okay, conversation with Tim Flack. Okay, got it. Okay, now I need to bring up a thumbnail, and I made some spare thumbnails when I did my video earlier, so there ought to be one here I can use. Let me see. Okay, we use OR Tambo. Let's use this one here, okay? All right, that one will work. Okay. Bulky list. Okay, there we go. And we got that one. Okay, so we'll set that up. Thank you all for your patience. The title, it doesn't like the title. Let's give me a low number for that. Okay, subscribers. I don't need idiots coming in here, so we'll put subscribers on there. Next, okay, we'll put it 130. 130. Done. And now I'll link this to that. Now, look at that, folks. Rugby tomorrow, 7:30 my time, so that's 2:30 South Africa time for the Springbok game. Okay, it makes sense? You guys tracking with me there? Okay, enable. What the hell's going on here? Oh, it won't let me save it because I'm still live. I can fix this later on. No worries. Okay, YouTube, I can fix that later on. So I'm live right now. So it's offered South Africans refugee status. So I just would appreciate an interview to become a refugee. Thank you. Huh? Don't know what you're talking about. Appreciate it, refugee interview. I'm a little confused on that. Anyway, let me fix this real quick here. We're going to divert this one to the upcoming one. So customization. That's how it goes. This is all the stuff you got to do, man. I don't have a team here. It's all one-man operation. Sometimes we make mistakes. All right, now I'm going to see if I got an answer on that. So, Roger. All right, well, it looks like I might have been at fault for this one complaint, but there were multiple complaints. So the one I can't do anything about, but the other one I can do. I'm not at fault, but my monitor needs to clean up. All right, so there we go. All right, so I'll accept some of the blame for that. I'll accept some of the blame for that. Hendo, clean up your potty mouth. One of the complaints is about you, brother. Clean up your potty mouth in the group. Okay? Over exuberant. All right, there we go. Springbok game. I just said that, Kathy. Did I just not answer that question? All right, cool. Got it taken care of. Can we have prayers for Charles? Does Charles need prayers or he just need his money? I thought he just needed his money. Show me the money! Del Marie says, keep well. Okay. I was at 10 a.m. because my pee was dark. Whoa, Charles, please. Dude, I'm sorry. That's too much. You were at 12 p.m. and your pee was dark. Did he just say his pee was dark? Oh, I can't drink that now. Yay, the money came through. Money, 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 money. We don't care about the money. Jesse J. Price tag, baby. Haha, okay. Coconut Man, Moonheads, MP. You ready? Seems like everybody's got a price. I wonder how they sleep at night. When the sale comes first and the truth comes second. Just stop for a minute and smile. Why is everybody so serious? Acting so damn mysterious. Got shades on your eyes, yeah. Got shades on your eyes and your heels so high that you can't even have a good time. Everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right. Can you feel that? Yeah. We're paying with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. It's not. We don't need your money, money, money. Forget about the price tag. Yeah, it ain't about the ching ching. Yeah, it ain't about the bling bling. Want to make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. Jesse J, man, it's not about the money. Money, money, money. But it is in this case because he needs the money to pay for the service. All right. 650 likes. Okay, cool. Your admin on yours is Hendo and in the other WhatsApp group as well, not yours. He was posting. All right, Hendo, please stop doing that. We're going to have to censor you. Alberta's going ahead with a new U.S. pipeline without getting permission from the Canadian government. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Kyle Watkins, I have what is maybe a stupid question. If the cap is 7,000, they'll continue to review. It's not a stupid question. First off, forget about the cap. Forget about the cap, okay? By the way, what Mariska said before is now true, okay? What Mariska said before is now true. I said that the reason refugees weren't coming is because the budget, we couldn't spend money. And that's why. Mariska said that Church World Services said the reason that people can come over is because the presidential determination had not been submitted. I said, while that may be true, that's not the proximate cause. The proximate cause is the budget. Well, the presidential determination has been filed, but as far as I know, it has not hit the Federal Register yet and given to Congress. If that hasn't happened, which should have happened by now, then that will become a stumbling block. But that should probably happen in the next couple of days. Kreshnik Hamitaj, thank you for joining. Appreciate that. That looks like a Czech and Ottoman name. I'm not sure. So the president's determination, which is done and was done on September 30th, has not shown up on the Federal Register yet, which means it hasn't been put in the document into the register. That has to happen. So Mariska and Church World Services may be correct here, but still, it would still take 7 to 10 days after the agreement is reached before people can even start coming over. So don't expect people to start coming today or tomorrow or the next day or Monday or Tuesday. But maybe if that's registered in the register and we get going, we should be fine shortly, okay? The 7,000 cap, stop losing sleep over that. They will process people as long as the program exists. We have 100,000 approved refugees from around the world who are not coming here right now. They still process refugees in Kenya and in Somalia. Well, not in Somalia, but in Kenya from Somalia, and in Uganda from Chad. Not from Chad, from, God bless it, from South Sudan. So they'll still do that. They'll still process people and get them approved. And then if they have to wait some time or years, they'll go back and they'll update the investigations. But yeah, don't worry about that. That continued the whole time. As long as there's a contract to pay for the contractors doing, which is RSC and Amerikaners, they'll process people, okay? All right? Let me introduce you to the most legendary university in Europe. Aix-la-Chapelle, Aachen. You know, I drove to Aachen one time, and first time I was there, and I was in my car, and I drove down this side street trying to get around traffic, and I wound up in a closed-off courtyard with buildings, high-rise buildings on 3 sides, and a little narrow street, and I'm like, oh, there's a little space turned on, but apparently it was whorehouses. So there's half-naked women hanging out the window going, hey, Schatzi. It was a bunch of whorehouses. I was like, oh, God, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, oh, exit, stage left. I got out as quick as I could. Well, Alana, you can come join us then for that insightful article. Oh, my goodness. Going to watch All-American True Life Horsey Countryside movie tonight. What is that? We put our SOI and did not get involved in any groups. All boxes ticked. Receiver answered 10 months later. Patience. All right, Tyra, hang in there. Oh, boy. What else we got here? What did I miss here? So, all right. Report of Iranian officials defecting the Iranian crown prince in a public record. Wow, that's interesting. Don't tell Ronaldo you can sing. I can't sing. No, don't worry about the refugee cap. Also, here's a little secret. You ready for this? This is a prediction. This is an analysis. You want to bet that more than 7,000 South Africans come over this year? Who wants to lay money on that? I don't bet. Except not to drink Starbucks. I bet you more than 7,000 come over. So I would stop stressing over that, okay? Yeah, the complaint was about, that's one of the complaints about that. And also about Carl Nye House. And there's a few others. I mean, okay, fine. People don't want to hear that, but okay. Case file went missing. Does this mean someone sits with the confidential information and has to start the whole process over? How does he know his case file went missing? Who told him that? Were you just assuming that? Yes, Francis. There's going to be more than 7,000. I can't guarantee that, but if I could guarantee it, I would, because I mean it's definitely going to be more than 7,000. People need to chill, folks. After this broadcast, you'll be redirected if you'd like to hang around. Hey, Tyler Brits. You'll be redirected to my conversation with Tim Flack. Tim and I haven't talked in a while, so this will be interesting. May's got 3 hours sleep and felt rested. Daughter sent me snooze strips in case my nose is closing. Oh, is that where the strips that go on your nose to open up the passages? That was Paulus Strasse, Water Polo Boys. I have no idea what Garrett's talking about. Put your hands up. We have you surrounded. It's not about the money, man. It's not about the bling, bling, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's all about the song, man. So Jessie J did that song, her best song ever. It was all about, you just want to play music, man. And all the people in the industry, it's all about the money. It's not about the music. We don't care about the money. It's just about me. Chaos Juggler comes in with a super chat, a 70 Rand. You're a 5th one ever. Thank you, Chaos Juggler. Appreciate that. Cha-ching, cha-ching. Yeah, there it is. It's all about the super chats. We're going to update Jessie J's song. It's not about the commentary in the chat. It's all about the super chats. Go to the most remote place in the country just to get out of here. I can always work my way from there. I think the limit on the number of celebrities is more related with available seats and flights. No, has nothing to do with that, Andrew. Nothing to do with that. The United States has proven if we really want to get people out, we can fly C-17s in and put 150 people in there, and we can charter 737s. That's not the question. The hip's not bothering me today, Garrett. It bothered me a lot the other day, but it's not bothering me at all today. I'm in no pain at the moment. And of course, as soon as I say that, I'll be in pain. But yeah. Yep. So that's what's going on there, folks. We've been at this for over 2 hours. I didn't realize we've been at this long. That's crazy. All right, so I'm going to take a break here, and in 12 minutes, we'll be back on with Tim Flack, okay? So if you want to stretch your legs, but if you want to hear the real story from Tim's perspective of what happened with this flight, okay? All right, so we'll talk about this, and we'll see how Tim came across this information and what he's got to say about it. So it's an exclusive right here on the program. All right, so looking forward to that, guys. Watching my old TV, I like to see if it will redirect. Still, YouTube, put your post first. My YouTube is okay. Vanner, you're just taking illegal, so USA can take. No, Vanner, doesn't work like that. Please do me a favor. Please use the words "secret, proven, shocking, finally," or "exposed" in the stream next. Okay, Alana, are you going to be there to remind me? All right. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button, all right? And we'll see you hopefully shortly with Tim Flack at the bottom of the hour. That's going to do it for this broadcast on a Lekker Lekker Freitag, as Giselle would say. We haven't played her music in a while. We hope she's doing well. Cheers, everybody. See you shortly. Bye-bye.